circulation of talents, and also on the contribution of young people to the support of democratic principles at the core of the EU, including active citizenship, and on the role of young people to support the local communities in the front of main challenges that impact the lives of our citizens. I believe that the younger generation have the power to show an extraordinary commitment and creativity when it comes to build more sustainable, inclusive and human societies, build the better life in our municipalities, cities and regions. Why I believe in it? Because in fact it is my personal experience. 20 years ago, when I became for a very first time councillor in my relatively small city, I can say I was relatively young. Maybe you cannot believe in it, but it was fact. And I remember this time really very perfectly, how I was full of big ideas, energy and determination. My city was relatively poor with a growing unemployment, and I knew that it has to be changed. We managed to create a really good team of people who finally joined my and my young friends' huge but sometimes reckless energy, I would say, with the wisdom and experience of my older friends. And now my city, it is Goleniu, 20,000 of inhabitants next to the capital city of my region, Szczecin, is dynamic and strong, strong in industry and modern businesses, just like e-commerce city. And right now I can proudly say that it is really a place with a good perspective for youngsters, and what makes me especially happy with a few new young dynamic councillors in the city council. So that's great. Such examples requires, of course, courage, faith in progress, and certitude the challenges can be overcome through hard work and dedication. This is human capital that EU decision-making leaders can neither waste nor ignore. And that's why in the EPP family we are calling for a serious debate on the ambitious ideas for a more recognized role of young people in the European societies. We start from the idea that democratic spaces must be consolidated for and by youth to ensure that the voices of young people are formally, continuously and permanently represented in the policy-making cycle at all levels of governance. We do so also by cooperating with the main think tanks and youth organizations in Europe. We have worked hand in hand also within the Conference on the Future of Europe. Building a Europe closer to young people with a strong democracy that works and delivers are key priorities for the EPP, also at the regional and local level. As a part of Committee of Regions, the EPP group represents 1.2 million European locally and regionally elected politicians, 1.2 million. And 240 regions, 90,000 municipalities across Europe. Many local elected politicians have responsibilities for a service for young people, youth work, education, employment, just to mention a few. Our committee engaged very closely in the European Year of Youth with a dedicated action plan, and we plan to continue also within the European Year of Skills next year. In December, we will approve a European Charter of Youth and Democracy that we are preparing with the European Youth Forum and the network of the young elected politicians. Dear friends, I have a long list to wish for young generation, and maybe the first one, the starting point is stay inspired and be inspiring. Win the trust of your peers and the people by defending our common values: freedom, democracy, rule of law, and human rights. Young generation in Europe has so far lived in a peace without wars, without walls, which was not my experience when I was a youngster, unfortunately. You are educated, or at least you have better chances to access quality education. You can travel in Europe without borders, meeting no real obstacles. You have seen integration and globalization not as threats, but as opportunities for education, for employment, and exchange of experience. At the same time, the current challenges are bigger than ever. A pandemic, climate emergency, now war in Ukraine, and growing economic worries for families and businesses. These challenges have shown that democracy is not given for granted. That's why democracy needs to be cherished and nourished against populists and extremists, defended against online fake news and propaganda. And that's why we need you to face all these challenges. We will have, I think, today with us Ms. Lidia Pereira, young, but already very experienced member of European Parliament and leader of the youth of the EPP. And I hope that she will confirm that change in politics can only come from the young generation. I fully agree with her. Youth participation to the political life is essential. Young ones are standing in a moment where their capacity to work for a positive change for this union is unmatched. They will never have better tools to make a difference. We need more young elected locally politicians, meaningful change beings at the home. Just like in my home, engaged young citizens can achieve extraordinary goals, even sometimes small ones, but crucial to make our communities stronger. Dear young friends, make your voice heard in your regions and in your cities. Local and regional authorities are in charge of implementing 70% of European legislation on the ground, represent 1/3 of public spending and 2/3 of public investments. So it is huge responsibility, and we need you involved in this responsible job. So go out, speak your voice to your local communities, be active, engaged, and successful on the ground. I wish you good conference, and I wish you a good development of your also political careers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. It was really inspiring to hear also from your start as a politician, and that's always good to remember as well. And also thank you for the sharing of the actual ideas and also concrete inputs. That's very interesting. And that's a perfect way to start the day. Thank you so much. So, and now I wish to show you a video that we had prepared for you, and our technicians. Now it's always the exciting part when the video will start. But here are
Young
great
people are
pictures.
playing an essential part in building a better future. This year marks the European Year of Youth, putting a spotlight on the key role of youths in bringing change. It's time to move towards a promising post-pandemic society, placing the voices of young people at the forefront. We asked EPP Young Elected Politicians from villages, cities and regions across Europe to tell us about projects they're leading and how they're contributing to make citizens' lives better. In particular, young people are working on various fronts to achieve the green transition across European villages, cities and regions. One key area is sustainable mass transport systems.
In my city of Pallini, Athens, we're starting a project on electromobility with stations, vehicles and buses.
EPP Young Elected Politicians are committed to protecting the environment, ensuring sustainable agricultural practices and promoting healthy lifestyles.
We make policies focused on the care, the protection and promotion of rice cultivation and the natural space. Protect the environment is everyone's job.
In my area of Neapoli, last March we planted trees for a clean area and for cleaner air. In my future plans, I am organizing a day about chronic nerve disease to inform the citizens. I wish for a better tomorrow.
EPP Young Elected Politicians are also working to make education fit for the digital age and offer more spaces for young people through youth centres and recreational green spaces.
In my municipality, we take care of youth, and this year we reconstruct the primary school and expand it. At the same time, it is significant that in Europe Year of Youth, we made a decision to open the youth center.
Hi, my name is Venla and I'm from Heinola, Finland. I made a council initiative in my hometown and we built this children's traffic park, and now the whole area is developing to be a common park for all the families and children in Heinola.
In my village, we are going to start an oral health program for all the children to guarantee a happy smile for the future.
Achieving results requires collaboration, so twinning projects in rural areas are also playing an important role for youths.
I think that Europe should be present also in little realities like ours.
That's why next year we will join the call for proposals town twinning in accordance with our mayor. So we hope that right here will be a mark of the twinning of karate with another European town.
To build a better future, we must strengthen the democratic process through youth engagement. EPP Young Elected Politicians are ready to play their role.
I'm Tomas Pavelka and I'm the youngest mayor in the Czech Republic. In our village Mořice, we would to engage young people directly to politics and to community life. I think it's the only good way for a sustainable future. So do it too.
To change Europe, education and small action cannot be neglected. To love Europe, to really feel like belonging to a community, our young citizen must learn its history, they must know how it is working every day, they must understand how decisions are made. That's why, before launching a huge project, I installed in my city, in Agnières, a discovery cycle of European institutions. We started a few months ago in Strasbourg with the European Parliament, and will carry on throughout the mandate to create a new generations of European citizens for tomorrow.
EPP Young Elected Politicians at the local and regional levels are the ones who can defend our European values and build a better, sustainable, digital, inclusive, caring and more united Europe.
Thank you so much. It's really inspiring video, and thank you so much for showing it to us. So the Year of the Youth is bringing a positive and hopefully a long-lasting impact on young people's lives in the Europe, in all over European Union. And it's been a perfect timing for occasion for timely debates. And as President Gebevich already mentioned, the future of Europe, the big conference, and I must say that it's really good that we had a big impact for young people, from young people into this the conference, because it's about the future, as I already mentioned, so it's really important. Thank you all who already took part in that. But now it's time to go on with the debates. It's really important that we have debate on how the decision-making processes are going on all levels of governance, from here at the European level and also to the smallest local. And in all those levels, we should and we have to take into account the youth perspective and the young voices. In my city, the city of Hämeenlinna in Finland, which I forgot to say in the beginning, but since I was so excited to start this event, we are the first child-friendly city in Finland. And in that project, we have especially addressed to the possibility of young people to take part in all levels of decision making and making choices in their own everyday lives. And I strongly recommend the child-friendly city system is made by UNICEF, and it can be done in all cities around Europe and all. Of course, also globally. So there are many good ways. You don't have to start from the zero, but you can do all various things in your own communities in order to make your voices heard. But anyway, to the establishment of youth mainstream of key policies, including access to civil empowerment and democratic participation, quality education, and employment, and brain drain and brain gain, as Mr. Geblevich already mentioned. It's really important that is in all these different aspects. But anyway, it's just a starting point, and we have to be careful that this year is not something that we do it this year and then we forget it, but we have to keep on going and making it as an everyday habit that we have more elected young people and we actually make the voices heard. So, it's not a chance. It's not by chance that the European Year of Youth will be followed in 23 by the European Year of Skills, as was already mentioned already. And the focus of our next panel, or actually the first one here, is precisely on how European Union may shape policies that can help an even better engagement of young people in our communities. And we are looking for responses and examples, and we are also willing to open questions that may be answered in the future. So, let's have our speakers in the front row. The first, I have honor to present our first speaker, Mr. Radim Srensen. How do you say your name? Srensen, okay, thank you. Deputy Minister for Regional Development of the Czech Republic, a major of Dolní Studenky, and also a member of EPP-CoR. Welcome. Sorry? Yeah. Okay, and dear Radim, yes. Nice to see you here in Brussels as well. And despite your young age, you've been engaged in politics for a long time. And today you are active in all levels, in the local and also in the European level and also in your own country. So, question, building by your own experience, and at what level do you feel that a young politician can be most effective, in terms of achievements? You have a special advocacy, of course, of your rural policies. But tell us a little bit about this, please.
Okay, good afternoon already. It's a great pleasure for me to be a part of this panel. First of all, when I was invited, I thought that I was invited as a young politician. But when I read the program, I realized that I am not taken as a young politician anymore. It's just a joke, because you are so young as you feel, and as Karel Gott, our famous singer, was singing that you are forever young, so I feel also forever young, and seeing Olgier and others and you, so it is the first important thing to be a part of to inspire young politicians in rural areas. Actually, I also can begin with my personal story because I was studying abroad, I got a job in Brussels, but I decided not to take it and to come back to my rural areas, where actually my mother was a mayor for 12 years and my grandfather was a mayor before, so we are kind of kingdom, so it was my personal responsibility, and I am so lucky that finally when I was on Sunday leaving, so my son said that he doesn't want to be policeman anymore and he wants to be a mayor and to go to Brussels, so he's 5, so it will take some time. So I think this inspiration. But I was that time, being 30, the youngest mayor in the region, and I am not anymore, luckily, because after 12 years, and it's nice that the youngest mayor of my region, but even of the Czech Republic, Tomáš, is sitting next to me. And I think what's about my story and his story and Olgier's story, I think we need young politicians on all the levels, of course, we do need. But you should have some kind of school from the kindergarten, you should go up, and I believe that they should all begin on the local level, because I think it's the biggest school, you know, to be a mayor, to be in contact with people every day, and or to be a part of local government, you know. And the big advantage of the Czech Republic is that we have 6,250 municipalities, so it's easy to be a part of local government, because, you know, there are 90% of municipalities are below 1,000. So we have a lot of young people in politics. And what's even more important is that the local level is not that much about politics, it's more about activism. And I think we need to educate the kids from the schools to be active. We do have participatory budgeting even in our primary school, you know. I'm going to talk to kids very often, you know, and I am happy that now there is already 8 kids in the school who want to be mayors, you know, so I am bringing up some kind of my competition for the future, and actually one of them is already now, he got the second biggest votes in elections, recent elections after me, so I am happy to have the young people engage, and this is crucial to really try to engage them from the very, very young age. And if we come from the politics, you know, then it's nice that in the Czech Republic we have a party of mayors and independent, so that's actually the recruitment which goes from the bottom to up levels. You know, this is also my story, how I got to the European level, to the national level now. I was also a part of the regional government, so I think that should be some natural process. I don't believe that if there are some quotas it helps, you know. I think there is more needed, some kind of passion, enthusiasm, activism, and then you can be also in politics. And that's also about the youth political clubs, you know, sometimes some of them in the Czech Republic are doing it as kind of a game for politics, you know, or role play, but I think it's more important to think about the stuff, about the issues, about what do you want to change, and then to become a politician. And finally, how to get young people being active and to come to your rural areas. We have a lot of tools, actually. You do not need to be a part of local government, but there is, for example, local action groups, community-led local development, when young people can participate. We are now making kind of project, Erasmus project with Georgia, Estonia, where we are trying to persuade young people that the politics can be nice, that it's not something bad, because it seems to me when you say politics, you know, yeah. And I also teach at university, and speaking to my students, it's sometimes that that they feel that they should not be a part of politics because it's something old, conservative, and now the doors are open to the new visions. And I think it's important that we have young generation, because if I can compare, I'm teaching already for 16 years, that now they are much more pro-European, much more pro-environmental, and I am very positive about the future with this regard. And we need those people in rural areas, of course, because it's a blood, and I think what we need to do is to give them chance, give them quality of life. It means some standards of infrastructure. We need broadband, and we need to give them possibility to work from home, because I think this is the possibility. I have several friends who after COVID really stay at home. One of them is projecting high-speed railways in a traditional wooden house in the forest, you know. Another one is working for Apple, you know. And, you know, this works because if they have this chance, it can work. And we should start from the public administration, because we should give the chance to people to live like that. So I very much believe that the modern technologies can transform the rural areas in this way and give chances to young people to have good quality of life. And it's nice to live in environment, in a nice countryside, and to bring up children there. So this is something what I call also the rural pride. So we should try to establish rural pride. And I'm always repeating that we should persuade everyone that it's so sexy to live in rural areas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Radim. I think you're a good example of that. You can be very excited about the politics in rural areas and combine it to the European level. Thank you so much. Okay, and then we are going to have a next speaker, and I think she's online. And Ms. Rosalia Biro, EPP Women President, and she's the chairwoman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Chamber of Deputies in the Romanian Parliament. And Ms. Biro, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you a bit.
Yeah, you can see me also.
Not yet, but we can hear you already.
And now?
I think your screen is black at the moment. I wonder if you have if you can open your camera. Yes.
Now it's okay.
Now the camera is open.
But it's move my camera. So it's okay like this?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello. First of all, congratulations for this event and this dialogue. Mr. President, Madam Moderator, it is a great honor for me that I have the opportunity to speak in your event and represent also the European People's Party Women Organization. First of all, may I ask your question, or do you want to share my experience regarding the dialogue with young politicians or young people?
Yes, sorry, Ms. Biro, I was just checking, but it's very nice to have you online, and I think what we would like to hear, especially from you, is that since the member states are committed to promoting the equal participation of women and men in decision-making in all levels, however, only 1/3 of political decision-makers in Europe and around 50% of mayors are women. And what is your personal perception of this problem of under-representation of women in politics? And what are the actions promoted by your organization? And do you see a change in this? And what should we do with that? Please.
Yes, unfortunately this is true, and unfortunately if we try to analyze the evolution of this phenomenon, we cannot
We are checking the situation. Okay, perhaps we go on and we go back to Mrs. Biro later on. Yes. Okay. We'll talk about this later on. Okay, and next one who we have here by the table is Miss Anna Navilvaiko. Very nice to meet you. And she's the project officer of the Wilfried Martens Center for European Studies. And dear Anna, citizenship education is a fundamental enabler of active and informed citizens, and of course for the democratic participation in civic life. And President Geblevich also already stressed the need of a further unlock to the young potential, and also by the means of youth mainstreaming of policies at all levels of governance, and also what was heard in the previous speech. So how do you see the role of the think tanks in that sense as collectors and developers of the ideas? And would you give us some concrete examples? I already mentioned the child-friendly city, but what else do we have? Please.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the invitation. So I'm representing the Wilfred Martin Center for European Studies, which is not just a think tank, but it's a political think tank, the political foundation of the European People's Party, of course. So, well, the definition of a think tank, it's a body of experts who provides ideas and recommendations on specific policy areas. So the think tanks are very well positioned to listen to citizens' concerns, listen to the voice of young people, and then to develop those concerns, to translate them into concrete policy proposals and concrete ideas. So this is our core job. The core job of think tanks is that to observe, to research, to analyze, and then to give some concrete recommendations to decision makers. This is kind of the core of what we do. And it's not very easy sometimes to define the think tank. There are many nuances to what a think tank does, but I think that being innovative and to an extent experimentative is what makes think tanks very interesting for policymaking. So in that sense, we are very well positioned to listen to concerns of youth, observe societal challenges, and come up with also sometimes not very linear or experimental and kind of innovative solutions. One of the added values, I think, of think tanks when we come in, when we talk about youth policies, is the cross-sectoral approach, because usually a think tank focuses on more than one sector. The experts that provide and develop ideas look at how these sectors interact with each other, and they provide a more comprehensive overview, because let's face it, all policy areas have an impact on youth. So it's not just, a specific youth policy that we have to develop. We have to also look at how other policy areas affect youth, because, it's not a kind of just different sector of society. I mean, youth is involved in so many things in our society, in so many issues. So I think having that cross-sectoral approach is what makes think tanks interesting also to policymakers, and to listen to those recommendations. And then, of course, besides a typical or a standard research paper that a think tank can produce, we can also use the digital tools to make our content more engaging, more entertaining, and more attractive for the audience. And that is very important for, of course, the young people, because young people are fluent in digital tools today, and they are very present in conversations taking place online. And those online platforms is where think tanks are present to kind of understand what drives the conversation, what trends are there, and we can build up on that to then come up with, some recommendations that we think are important to be dealt with. If we want to truly capture the imagination of young people, we have to approach them in new ways, and definitely digital tools and new technologies are very, very important today and are on the front of the approach to youth. And also, I think that think tanks, to an extent, seem slightly more approachable than institutions. So, we can have that capacity. We can capitalize on that to approach young people, to develop the dialogue, and to embed their priorities in their views into recommendations of the policies that we provide. And going to concrete examples, well, first of all, at the Martin Center, we try to look at youth not as a homogeneous groups, because we have to take into account that there's, in different European countries, there's history, there are traditions, and that can translate in different behavior and points of view of the population. And even within the same country, young people can have different ideas and different priorities based on their gender, based on their social and economic status. So this is what we also try to focus on. And because we operate both in Brussels, but we also have a large network of partners in EU member states, we try to cater to the needs also of young Europeans in general, but also specifically to member states, and also to compare and contrast their needs and their points of view and those priorities. We are, of course, very happy to cooperate. Lydia Pereira was mentioned before, with the youth organization of the EPP, and of course with the student organization EDS. We have a long-standing cooperation with these two organizations. We ensure that there is a constant exchange between members of these youth organizations and the wider network of researchers and also widely, policy makers within the EPP. This is very important to constantly have that sort of dialogue. But we also carry out several youth dialogues. We carry out School of Politics. We carry out EU training camps in Czechia, Italy, Romania, just to mention some that are ongoing or are going on in these past 2 months. And we try indeed to take into account not just, worries of youth in general, but also specifically from different member states or sometimes even regions within the member states. And we have done several initiatives to involve youth, as was mentioned, in policy making and to kind of have their ideas and have them express their ideas and what they think is important for them. One of the initiatives I'd like to mention is If It's Broken, Let's Fix It. It was an ideas contest that we did, and we asked young people who wanted to participate to provide concrete proposals for 3 areas, which were, one was political parties. So we asked how would you make political parties work better? One was political institutions and processes. So we asked how would you improve democratic processes such as electoral system, campaigns, referendums. And the third one was politicians. How can politicians really connect with citizens, and how can politicians improve their image and communication? So several young people from several European countries, they submitted their proposals. There were 3 winners, and they had the chance to come to Brussels and present their ideas to the EPP leadership. So they also had the opportunity to express how they would like the democratic system to be. We also have done several exchanges and seminars. I think it's important to mention specifically in this historic moment with young people from Belarus and Ukraine. We asked, they were coming for study trips to Brussels. We asked them what their opinion of the EU is and what their wish for the EU were and for their own countries. But, and last but not least, we try to incorporate in our research all the priorities that are important to youth. Historically speaking, youth policies were very much focused on employment and education, but I think especially after COVID, young people said that mental health was, for example, one of the big issues for them, and climate change. So we try to take that into account and kind of also, be at the forefront of those policies, develop policies also in that way. We saw yesterday was actually the Mental Health Day, so this is something that is also very important to work with. But just to finish, I think that the goal here for think tanks is to work not only for youth but also with youth. So nearly, as mentioned before, nearly all policy decisions have an impact on youth, and but young people sometimes feel excluded from decision-making purposes. And I think that think tanks can really be that bridge and to provide that connection between young people and policymaker and make the dialogue slightly easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Very inspiring words. And there's a saying also that nothing about us without us. So I think that is a very good thing also when we talk about young people in politics or in whatever. And I'm really happy that you mentioned yesterday's Mental Health Day. And actually today it's the Universal International Girls' Day. And now we didn't get to hear what Ms. Rosa had to say, but I think it's very important to understand the Girls' Day issues and topics as well. When we talk about how we can take all the young people and all the young voices heard. So thank you, Anna, so much for your contribution. And we will go on to Athanasios Moras. Yes, and you are a regional councillor from region of Attica.
From Thessaly.
From Thessaly?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I got the wrong region here, but and you're a participant also in the EPP Young Elected Politicians program.
Yes.
Happy to have you here.
Yes, I'm happy to.
And well, you know probably all that this network is the network of politicians who are not older than 40 years, and they hold a mandate on regional or local level at the European Union. And the President Apostolos Tzitzikostas started this up when he was a president, the first part of our mandate now. So, question for you. In your views, what are the policy areas of main interests for young elected politicians in the European Union? And how do you see the financing in the regional level in the fields of digital and green transition? And how is it back home? What do you think about this? Please.
Yes. Thank you very much. Mr. President, dear members of the People's Party and European Committee of Regions, it is my honor to represent my region, the region of Thessaly, at the European Week of Regions and Cities. At the same time, it's my honor to be the representative of young fellow citizens during the discussion of the European People's Party. During such a crucial period for Greece, Europe, and the whole world, it's highly important to meet at the heart of the Europe and face the truly concerning serious issues so that we could deal with them with the best way in the future. We live in an era where we are facing multiple crises. We threaten the foundations of our financial life and social stability. For the next 10 years, changes are about to come greater than the ones happened in 100 years ago. The young European generation is responsible for the protection of democracy, of institutions, of citizens, as it seems that Europe was not highly protected. There is a need for cooperation and a sense of togetherness and unitedness in the way Europe's founders had imagined it. Future is not a gift, it's an accomplishment. There may be better times, but this is our era. That's why, in the region of Thessaly, we adapt to changes. We are always on the move. We become one with the society, we cooperate, we insist on our rights, we run projects that are beneficial for everyone. The best way, we say in my region, to say something is to do it. That's why, undoubtedly, I believe if I had to prioritize the policy areas as young elected politicians would go first with green transition, green deal projects, and digitalization. In the region of Thessaly, we implemented an energy upgrade of 90 public buildings with funding 85 million euros in order to reduce the energy footprint of old and energy-intensive buildings and improve performance of modern, functional, and friendly and public infrastructure. We also completed the energy upgrade of lighting in the entire network, road network, to installing 8,000 LED lighting fixtures. The region of Thessaly is the greenest region in Greece in the field of waste without environmental fines from the European Union and with public infrastructure that does not burden the citizens financially. The flagship project in my region is the reconstruction of Lake Karla. Is the largest environmental project implemented in recent decades in the Balkans and Southern Europe at a cost of construction of 380 million euros. Constructions of ring roads, CT entrances, roundabouts, the project of the electrification of Thessalian Railway brings environmental relief, water supply projects, and regarding the digitalization, we created an electronic document circulation system, IRIDA, audiovisual upgrade of the Region Council, Thessaly GovUp of automated information of the members of the Regional Council, electronic security and data protection, digital platform for connected vulnerable groups with agencies responsible for dealing with emergencies and supplying a specially configured and equipped emergency response vehicle in cases of natural disasters, digital transformation of the services of the transport directorates, drawing up a digital map for nutritional wealth of Thessaly. We finance the supply of IT equipment to all public schools of all levels of education. We installed an integrated ISPSS security system in the port of Volos, my city. the program development and upgrade of information systems and electronics infrastructure of the chambers of the region of Thessaly, and many other things. And you all see that if you take all this in consideration, it's clear that all the projects in my region reflect people's desire and needs. They reinforce and create job positions. Using the European funding programs, a process of action is created targeting conditions of safety, of sustainable development for the majority of citizens. In this way, European citizens create a place, hope, of solidarity, prosperity, resilience, and respect towards both Mother Nature and the upcoming generations. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Athanasios. As you can see, everyone is really excited about everything we can do, and we have been doing with young people, and actually everything is combined, as was mentioned already, to young people. So thank you so much for your very good examples and what's happening in your region and in your city. And now I think we have Rosalia back online again. Is it so? We can have a short intervention, perhaps. Yes, nice to see you. And it was mentioned already that today is also the International Girls' Day, combined with your topic. So please, a few words about the subject, please.
Yes, so the big question is what we can do like women organization or what we can do like women who are in different decision level and different chairs for our daughters and for the girls to have maybe more courage to have an activity in political field or to accept, let's say, a role in decision level. First of all, based on the experience of European People's Party Women Organization, I have to say that we have regarding the fact that we have many women in very important key positions, mentoring program starting is a good and important step because we have some years of experience which based on which or with which we can help the girls who start their political career. This is one way. Another way is also to work with girls from a very age, very let's say young age of them. You know, probably you heard about the movement Girl to Leader, which is platform in which we can initiate dialogue at the local level with girls who want to show their opinion, who want to have a dialogue regarding the local administration or regarding their community problems. And this dialogue could be a very good starting point for starting the political career for them. Of course, the quotas and the opinions are different. Can be used, but we don't like them. Of course, we don't like them. But the experience shows for us that for a short period, it is opportunity or a possibility to have ladies in decision bodies in political field. So in my opinion, if we like or we don't like, but quotas help us to have a critical mass of women political leaders, and in this way to have the possibility to show what they can do it in political life, and it is a very important opportunity for them. And also, I think that it is important at the local level to offer to have a real dialogue with girls, because this real dialogue is a base on which we can find the opportunities what they need indeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy that we could make the connection work. And thank you so much, and have a nice day also back there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think now it's time. How many of you are at the moment on mobile? You know, checking some social media or something? Yeah, and the rest of you don't tell it. Because now it's a possibility. You can send the questions and ideas of the first panel also through social media, so we can go on with the discussion later on as well. Yes, and now it's allowed. You know, we can do that. But once more, let's clap for the first panel. Thank you so much for your intervention, and all the best for your work. And we will go on directly to the next panel, and we will have here in the front Ms. Lydia Pereira. Please come here. And then we have Karina Mikkelson and Irina Shatokina. Yeah. And one more, I think, Thomas Pavelka. Please come all here. Yes, and yeah, hello, welcome.
Can I sit here next to
Yes, please. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Okay, and so we already spoke about the how important it is to have young politicians in all levels, and I must say that it's really nice to have you here, Lydia. You are the president of the Young Elected Politicians, and you are an MIP also in the EPP group. And can I ask you, how old were you when you were elected?
Should I use this one?
Yes.
Hello, good morning,
Hello.
and very nice to meet you. And thank you very much to Olli Gerd for the invitation. He's been always pushing Jep to be very much involved with the EPP Committee of the Regions in this dialogue. I was 27 when I was elected.
That's great. That's great. Okay, but anyway. You're very talented, as we can all see, and you are you're very engaged in politics, and which is great. And you worked hard with the programs, and you have won the trust of your peers as well, and which is so great. And that shows that when you work hard, you will get further on, and that is very important. And from your perspective and experience, do you believe it exists a generational divide in perception of the European Union project? Are democracy, rule of law, and peace felt important by the majority of young people as part of their identity? And would you like to share us some projects in particular with this issue?
Yeah.
Please.
Well, I think if we look at Europe, Europe is getting old, but still we have a generation of young Europeans that have to be engaged in all different engagements in politics, be it at the civil society level, be it at the political level. And in the political level, we have the different forms of local, regional, federal, national. It depends from country to country. So one of the most important things that I think we have to reflect, and this has been an agenda of YEP, is putting and bringing forward young candidates for the different platforms, in particular in the political sphere, in the political camp. And that's one of my personal commitments as well, is to make sure that in 2024 we have more young elected members in the European Parliament. I think this is crucial because we have to renew the generation in the Parliament. When we talk about divide, I don't see it as a divide. When you touched upon the topic of peace, I think this generation, my generation, was not thinking about seeing a war at the gates of Europe, as we are witnessing and observing and engaging and helping and supporting our Ukrainian friends, which I also take the opportunity to thank Irina for her presence here today, and for her friendship, and to reassure that Europe stands by the Ukrainian fellows. But I mean, the values of peace, of rule of law, I think we are witnessing, we see a much more informed generation and much more engaged with other problems, for example, related to climate change or to sustainability. So people or young people are not less engaged, just engaged in different platforms and sometimes a more informal approach. We all have friends and everyone has an opinion about everything. Everyone puts their opinion, be it on Facebook, on Twitter, or even with a funny video on TikTok. So we are politically engaged. The problem is to transfer that engagement to the political, to the formal participation. This is for us at YEP, at the youth of EPP. We have an agenda standing up for these values. This comes at the core at our organization. This year we are celebrating 25 years of existence, and I had the chance to go over not only the policy documents, the resolutions that YEP has been debating and discussing in our meetings, but also on the founding charter of YEP, where rule of law, peace, democracy, freedom, sustainability, environment were already in that founding document. So the legacy, we are leveraging upon the legacy of the past generations, knowing that the objective is in the future to bring more young people to the different levels of the political engagement. I think this is crucial. And in particular for the European Parliament, we have to advocate more and more the importance of being part of Europe, because in a globalized world, it makes no sense that we tend to think about it individually.
Thank you so much for your very, very wise words, and I think it was really crucial also to. Sometimes it's the form that makes the division. You know, like when the young people don't use the same methods as we older ones. So it's sometimes, even though the message and the interests are the same. So I think it was very, very interesting and important. Thank you so much, and congratulations for the 25 years. I think it's great, and. Well, let's go on with that. Thank you. And let's go on to Irina. You're sitting in the next here to Lydia. So you're the vice chairwoman of European Democratic Students. Yeah. And in addition to that, which is EDS is the official student organization of the European People's Party, and also here, as Lydia already mentioned, you're for us a brave and strong young Ukrainian woman, and you live in a country which is aggressed and ravaged by war. And a country where young people fight and often losing their lives and experience a sense of fear, of uncertainty about their future. And I must say that I really feel, and we are all here to support Ukraine in all ways and in all different ways. And it's really nice that we can have you here to share your ideas. And also help with the reconstruction of the country and joining the European project together. I think it's really important. And now I have a very, in a way, intimate question also to you, because your boyfriend is currently in the front line fighting for Ukraine. And on the screens we can see through his own eyes what young Ukrainians are passing through when confronted with violence and destruction. And can you share us like the main challenges affecting the everyday lives of young Ukrainians today, and what all youth in the European Union, what all youth and all us can do to support you, please?
First of all, thank you so much for the invitation, because it's extremely important today for Ukrainian youth to have a floor to speak about our experience. Today is October 11th, but definitely I need to talk, and I need to start with yesterday morning when Russia carried out massive missile attack on the territory of Ukraine. In my home region, at least 4 people killed and 19 people injured. 90% of Lviv was left without electricity. 70 objects and residential buildings damaged in Kyiv. And among all those Cynics captured most clearly was the calculated targeting of critical and civilian infrastructure, including power supply facilities and places typically crowded with the people, such as public parks, children playgrounds, and universities. Russia fired 83 missiles at Ukraine. 83 missiles, just words here, but they hurt me, seeing my university in Kyiv damaged and destroyed, realizing that my mom, a history teacher, is sitting with the children in the bomb shelter, singing the national anthem of Ukraine, waiting for my boyfriend to come back from the front line. There was no electricity in my apartment in Kyiv yesterday, and after this event, I will spend almost 2 days on the road to go back home. It is not easy to be a young person during the war. And when you are young, you used to have a lot of plans for your life. Today, our plans are crushed by Russia. Many friends of mine from Solidarna Molodь, the youth organization of European Solidarity Party, joined the army from the beginning of invasion. They are very brave. A lot of young people volunteer for the needs of the front line and civilians. And we will be the next generation who, after the victory of Ukraine, will work hard to rebuild our country, rebuild Ukraine as a member of European state. What all youth in the EU can do to support youth in Ukraine, I would say care about what's going on there. Stay in touch with the peers in Ukraine, giving them a floor, like today, to talk about our experience. I am proud to be elected as European Democrat students, Vice Chair, having an opportunity to be the voice of Ukrainian youth in the biggest student organization in Europe. I remember the first days of the invasion when member organizations of EPP and EDS provided us with real support, sending big trucks full of humanitarian aid. That was a strong example that European youth stands shoulder to shoulder with Ukrainian youth, being ready to act not only on words, but on real actions. I believe that today's Ukrainian youth are made of steel, and I am proud to be part of it. But only all together we should bring Ukrainian victory closer and closer every day. And now I invite you to watch a message from my boyfriend, who is currently on the front line, fighting for freedom and integrity of my land.
Dear friends, my name is Volkov Igor. I am 24 years old, and right now I am fighting near occupied Kherson as a combat medic. We came here 6 months ago, and we are liberating our lands day by day. Before coming to Kherson region, we were defending our hometown, Kyiv. My squad were fighting near Irpin and Bucha, and we have seen the things that Russian army are capable of. And this is why we have no choice but to keep fighting. We cannot let the evil and violence prevail in Ukraine, in Europe. In addition to experienced and mature guys, in my squad there are a lot of young boys and girls. Many of them have never held a gun before, but were brave enough to join army. We were all different, but right now we have common goal: to protect our land and build our future.
Thank you so much, Irina, for sharing your thoughts, and thank you for sharing the video, and all the best, of course, to your boyfriend. And we are all supporting you, and we will win the war together. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, and let's go on. We still have here Mr. Thomas Pavelka, and you are the major of OPEC Morice. Is that right way?
Morice.
Yeah, okay, sorry. And the EPP-CoR YEP as well. And dear Thomas, first of all, congratulations for the recent success of Christian Democrats in your local elections. It was in September. That was great.
Yeah, thank you very
much. And local policy in your country is strongly dominated by a civic engagement, and candidates must be very aware of the specific needs of their village or city. And each candidate, especially in small villages like yours, need to win the trust of every single citizen and the household to succeed being elected. And today you are the youngest mayor in the Czech Republic. I think we... Yeah. And a question there, Thomas. It's often said that the younger you are, the more difficult it is to be taken seriously in politics. And I would like to ask you, how did you start? And did you have problems like this? And yeah, tell us a bit about how your career has gone so far, please.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I have to say thank you for inviting me to this event. It's for me first time in Brussels. So I think it's very important for young people to have these platforms like this. It's really good to share experience and to grow up. And for me, it's a good time to practice my not so good English. So something about career. So I started more than 10 years ago, but on the other platform. It was on countryside, you know. So this place offers many opportunities to get involved, to be a part of a community. It could be easy, but it could be hard too, as Radim said. So firstly, I was a leader of one of children's club, and then I helped to organize some cultural events too. Then I was a librarian in our village, and I have always tried to move my task forward. Improve the institutions, for example, library or school club, and to be innovative person. So I think it's really important for young people to make innovations, but I think it must have a sense. So for me, the sense was to make it as in our party, mayors, it's quite joke, liberal, conservative together. So I think it must be liberal in methods and conservative in values. So I had great support from the mayor of the village, for our village. He led the village for 20 years. And he saw me as his successor, as his mayor in future. But it was quite change because even so much successful long-term mayors, and it has an end. It could end, and it was in 2015. And for the next 5 years, our municipality was leading by leader of the opposition. But me and other people were interested in development of our village. We put together a list of candidates, and I was 20 years old. And I was the leader of this list, and we won the elections. It was quite a surprise. And we got about 30% of the votes, and a year later, after quite complicated period and so much negotiations, I became the mayor of the village at the age of 21, and yes, you said the youngest mayor in our country, and I think it was 3 weeks ago was votes again, and I think in 1 week, I think it's on 22, I could be mayor for another 4 years. So
Okay.
That's it. But I think it's so important for both. It's enough when you are young or old who want to enter politics that they can offer something. They previous work for people, for the community and its development. So I think that everyone can do this in many ways. And young people can help. And in our village, they are helping. So mostly in cultural events and some sport events or in associations. But some of us are more involved in the structure of village. For example, we have so really young team of female teachers in the kindergarten. We try to create opportunities for young people and lead our community so that it's, for example, visible on social networks like Instagram and so. And we are supporting, I think, I could say, high level of communications with our citizens.
Just great. Oh, no, just great. Thank you so much. So somebody mentioned already earlier that it's what you do, not only what you talk. And your story actually made the point out of that as well.
Yeah. But I must say just one thing more, that it's not about me. Just not about me. It's about so much people, and I have to say big thank here to Radim and to other great people. They are helping me and giving me experience and sending me, for example, to these and similar events.
Thank you so much. What a great thing to add. And I think, Lydia, you also had some idea of this. Would you want to?
I just wanted to make some final remarks on this. I see that when we talk about the youth, and when I hear people talking about the youth, it's usually in a very patronizing tone, like, oh, we need the youth, we need young people. Yeah, well, if you need them, then use them. And this is very good examples on the benefit that the youth can bring on the different platforms that we can actually engage and participate and be relevant and be part or be the drivers or the agents of our own present and future. So this is, I'm saying this because we are not patronizing the youth, the Ukrainian youth, who's fighting on the front line for their country, for their territory. So if we have these attitudes, and it's a very, it's the only attitude we can have, we should also not be patronizing the youth on other aspects of the engagement. The youth cannot be only for, for the front line. The youth is for everything, because the youth is at the core, or should be at the core, of the policy making. And I will conclude with this. We don't talk much about intergenerational fairness. We only talk about intergenerational fairness when we discuss about public debt and when we have a financial crisis. But this cannot be the only opportunity where we talk about the youth and how the youth is relevant to keep the sustainability of a country running or the Europe functioning. So we have to be consequent with our actions, and therefore I think we have very good examples at this table of how the youth is very important and is at the core of driving change, and in particular what we are witnessing at the moment in Ukraine, the bravery, the courage. We have to translate that as well for the different challenges we have ahead of us, in particular in Europe and with the rest of the globe.
Thank you. I totally agree. Yeah. And now, for your knowledge, we have extra 10 minutes. Thank you so much, interpreters. And we are having, last but not least, we have one more panelist here, and Karina Mikkelson. Very nice to have you here as well. And you are the Deputy Chairman of Adachi Municipal Council and the EPP-CoR as well. And what do you think young elected politicians could do to support Ukrainian cities and regions to the path to the European Union accession, like what was discussed already before? And can you share with us some practices from your municipality?
Before of all, I would like to thank the opportunity. As actually Lydia mentioned, if you have use them. And this is maybe the one point why I'm here. And I will start with some small bridge from previous speakers. From the point of view of Europe, me and my son, we both are youth. But what the biggest difference between of us? I born in Soviet Union, but he born in Europe Union. And this is the biggest difference. In 1991, Latvia, same as bloc of countries of the Eastern Europe, reconstruct, but Ukraine actually get the independence. We chose the different ways in 1991. Latvia from the very first day started to build the way to Europe Union. And in 2004, we are full members of Europe Union. Today, from our Ukrainian friends, we feel that they start this path now. We Latvians really feel how much energy, how strong should be Ukrainians to pass this way. So, actually today, now, in 1 p.m. on a local Latvian time, my municipality signing agreement for partnership memorandum with Slobozhansk municipality from Ukraine. We start our friendship not so long time before the war, but this is the strongest friendship what we have as municipality. And it doesn't mean how big or small you are. These friendships, this cooperation, this solidarity, it can be on a different ways. Of course, we support with humanitarian. We give the place and we welcome refugees in Adaži. But the very, very next step is to give advice in this pre-attending period to Europe Union. We still remember it took more than 10 years when we rebuild our democracy, when we strengthen it, and we feel that Ukrainian friends are already now on the way to change it. So we are really glad to exchange our experience as the local municipality, as the society, and to be solidar with Ukrainians. And we really can do and achieve the victory in this war together.
Thank you so much. And a very concrete example, and also very nice that you pointed out your son and how the life, how the world has changed and Europe has changed, and yeah, we have to believe that there is a better future when we work together. And I must say we had a really nice panelists here as well. As you can see from looking at the time, we could have discussed this so much longer. But we are going to hear the final remarks now from Ms. Yelena Renyanin, who is the Vice President of our EPP group in Committee of the Regions. And while the panelists are going back to their places, is there one quick question from the audience? But also we can go on with the discussion, which I really much hope, in the social media, because there are a lot of ideas and discussion that I hope that we can go on after this. Young elite, okay. Please.
I would like to only one my personal experience I missed during my speech. First of all, I would like to thank all participants. It was really great to have you all here. And one thing which I think that you should consider if you want to be a politician, there are 1 million of cons of disadvantages. It is not very easy, you have to spend in long hours and so on, working very hard. But it is one really advantage. I remember that when I was for the very first time elected, just like Lydia, I was 28 or something like that, in a quite similar age. And then expressed me as a young politician. Then in my city council. Then when I became a regional councillor, I was 32, and I was perceived as a young politician. Then when I was 34, I became a chairman of my regional parliament, and they said, wow, such a young politician. When I was 38, I became a president of my region, and I was always, it was described that I'm a young politician. And you know, sometimes still people say, when I'm on the national level, when I'm discussing with my friends in the national board of my party, they are talking, wow, you are the youngest of, you are still a young politician. So, you know, I realized that if I were a soldier, sportsman, dancer, or I don't know, I would be retired right now. And right now I'm still a young politician. So that should be something that should encourage you to consider really very seriously to be in a politician. Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, you can stay here. Okay. And now, Jelena,
thank you. That was a sales pitch for politics, I would say. You will be young forever. I want to thank everybody for their contribution and for this very important getting together, talking. And as Lydia always say these wise things, walk the talk. You can't just talk, you have to do it. But I would have some remarks, and I wrote some stuff before that I thought I'm going to bring up, but I won't. First of all, I would say, if we want diversity, and we want politics to be the mirror of society, we can't recruit as we always had. We have to think. And we never talk about recruitment. So, for instance, most companies, when they fail in recruitment, it's like, oh, the candidate was not good, let's recruit again. And they recruit the same. And because one thing is, when we are politicians, we are still same human beings with same emotions and same functions. We tend to recruit somebody who gives us a nice feeling and kind of are the same. Maybe I see a younger me in this person I recruit. So when we recruit to politics, we have to think different and give other people that are having something else. So we have to look what are their fire to change in the society. And democracy has taken over 1,000 years or 2,000 years, and it's still evolving. I mean, when I was trained as a trainee, and I was young at 35 when I started in politics, we didn't have social media. I was training to meet journalists with a microphone. I don't meet journalists with microphones today, not very often, but we have totally new landscape. We have fake news, we have threats, and when we get young people to be in politics, we can't always keep them because the environment is not changing that allows people also to evolve, to have families and so on. So we tend to lose a lot of young people also. So we have to rethink. But I would like to say, what are we working in politics in the Committee of Regions? Well, the Conference of Future was a great opportunity to bring in young people, to listen to young people. I know some said, it was not the best thing arranged. Can you tell me one continent in the world that had put so much money, effort, politicians, to talk about democracy, to find new ways of evolving our democracy and the work we are doing? So, was it perfect? No. But we are continuing to do it and to make Europe stronger, and we need to do it all together, all ages, but we need to get the young people involved. And two things I would like to say. What we have been talking about conference on the future, but also here in the Committee of Regions, should we let 16-year-olds vote? That has to be discussed. And I think we should not think it's like, oh, everybody has to do it at the same time and it's going to be. No, it's like everything. When you change something, try it, evaluate it, and then you can spread it. But we have to try new things, because as a young person, you have this fire of wanting to change the world, and you still believe you can. Then we don't want to tell them it's going to take a lot longer time, but it does. But we need a fire, and I think we have seen a lot of young people getting engaged in the climate crisis. Now with the war, this was a great example. And I think it's a wake-up call. Our planet is burning. Democracy is in danger. What society do we have? So I would do this with my script and say we have to do it together. That's why this is so important. Talk, discuss. Okay, we have different opinions, fine, but let's take the raisins from the cake and make a better cake. So I want to thank you. It's late. Have a great days. Thank you.
So, thank you, Jelena. There's nothing to add to that, except that this has been a very, very good almost 2 hours we spent together, and all the best to all of you. And remember, none of us can do everything, but each of us can do something. So, have a nice day.